Welcome to Fox Soul's Black Report. This is the space where we bring you Black America's headline news, views, and opinions. I'm Romeo.
I'm Dominique.
I'm Demi.
Peace and love, soulmates. I'm Nielle.
On today's report, our legal analyst, we have civil rights attorney Sue Ann Robinson. She's going to join us to discuss the justice for Ahmaud Arbery and Kyle Rittenhouse trials, as well as civil rights leaders are arrested in their continued pursuit of voting rights.
Yes, civil rights leaders arrested in their pursuit of voting rights, thousands of them actually descending there. We've got Vice President of PepsiCo North America, Kenny Thompson Jr. He's here to discuss Pepsi's contribution to black business.
Soulmates, we have that and so much more. You know why? Because it's our voice and it's our truth. So let's get to it.
Good evening, soulmates. We have some breaking news for you this evening. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt on Thursday today commuted the death sentence of Julius Jones to life in prison without the possibility of parole, amid protests and a last-minute court appeal that argued that the state's execution process amounted to cruel and unusual punishment, according to NBC News. Stitt's announcement came after Jones's supporters staged days of protests in advance of his scheduled execution, which was to take place at 5 p.m. Eastern today at the Oklahoma State Prison. Jones has maintained his innocence for more than 2 decades in the 1999 shooting of Paul Howell, a businessman in the affluent Oklahoma City suburb of Edmond. This is amazing news. This lets us know that the government, that the justice system is not broken, that Governor Stitt, he got our emails, he got the text messages, he got the DMs, he got the tweets. I've been telling you guys for weeks that justiceforjuliusjones.com was kind of the headquarters where you could literally find out all information, how to find a way to make your voice known. There are people who were camping outside of the Capitol, outside of the courtroom in Oklahoma, literally rejoicing in tears. People are rejoicing for a man they've never met, for a man that literally weeks before they never maybe even known about. This is great news. And Kim Kardashian, I just want to give her some praise because she has definitely been keeping tabs on this. And just really quick, she tweeted last night that last night at 9 p.m. before his execution, his phone privileges were terminated. At this point, he is, of course, thinking that he's going to die today. His phone privileges were terminated. He received his last meal at 9 p.m. last night. They were checking on him every 15 minutes. And, you know, today, to know that you will still live has to mean so much for him and his family.
Right. The NAACP had asked everybody to wear black today in solidarity with the family. That's why I have my black on. But to your point, Demi, this is the power of protest. The power of protest is so important. And I always talk about that with you guys, soulmates. Never, underestimate the power of your civic engagement. Never underestimate the power that you have when you show up, when you demonstrate, because change does happen. And when I was on my way here and I got the news, I literally started crying because with so much happening right now in our black community, it was heavy. It was really heavy. So to hear that he had been commuted and his life, he gets to take another day, it's just a blessing. And I'm really happy for him and his family.
You know, when you did walk in this morning, Neil, you and I were talking. You were talking about why you had on the black dress. And I can understand why, because so many times we've been failed when we got to this point or in so many other ways before. But this is a big win and hopefully something moving forward that people can grab hold to. We really didn't have faith in the governor even paying attention to this. We knew we were all praying. We were sending prayers up for his family and his friends. And I can't imagine how he was feeling when his phone service was gone and throughout the whole night. Not sure if he even slept. But to wake up this morning and know that he's going to continue to have life is truly a blessing.
It is a blessing, and I think Nielle's right to give props to the protesters. The thing here is that we've got to look at the systemic racism within the justice system and look at eliminating the death penalty. It's great if you're Mr. Jones and you have the Kardashians and you've got the European Union making a statement, but the majority of prisoners on death row don't have that advantage, and they will be unjustly executed. And we are one of the few countries in the world that is considered an advanced democracy that still has the death penalty. Given the racial bias in the death penalty, we need to eliminate it.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Facts.
All right, so mates, the man who fatally shot a black jogger, Ahmaud Arbery, in 2020 faced cross-examination by prosecutors today, while a large group of black ministers rallied outside the courthouse in support of Arbery's family.
What did you do?
I shot.
Why?
He had my gun. He struck me. It was obvious that he was. It was obvious that he was attacking me. That if he would have got the shotgun from me, then it was. This is a life or death situation.
Travis McMichael returned to the witness stand a day after testifying that Arbery forced him to make a split-second life or death decision by attacking him and grabbing his shotgun. McMichael's testimony marked the first time any of the three white men charged with murder of Arbery's death has spoken publicly about the killing. Now, meanwhile, the Reverend Al Sharpton planned to return Thursday for a rally with a large group of black ministers after the defense attorney intensified frustrations in the coastal Georgia community of Brunswick when he said he didn't want any more black pastors sitting in the Glenn County courtroom with Arbery's family, the AP reports.
Soulmates, joining us right now to discuss the Justice for Ahmaud Arbery justice trial as well as the Kyle Rittenhouse trial while they're in deliberations is our very own legal analyst, Sue Ann Robinson. Welcome back to the Black Report.
Hey guys, hey Soulmate.
How are you?
Hey. So, Sue Ann, I want to start with William Roddy Bryan's attorney. He seems to be so obsessed with black pastors. Let our soulmates take a look.
Yeah, Kevin Goth, and I've been saying this from the beginning, he's doing too much. He's spending a lot of time focusing on who is in the courtroom, who's in the gallery, who is doing what outside of the facts of the case. And I think the issue is he really cannot defend the indefensible acts of his client. And so he's trying to draw attention away from that by renewing countless times motions to exclude people from the gallery. In a public courtroom, you know, as a member of the bar, he's aware that it's a public courtroom. So for him to be renewing the motions continuously and to be making the court have to deny his motions continuously is very, you know, it's embarrassing. And it's sad that he's using that tact.
You know, when I watch him, I think about how they chased Ahmaud Arbery down because they felt like he didn't deserve to be in that neighborhood. And I wonder, do they feel the same? It's the same thing with the pastors. You're telling us who can be our pastor, who should be in the courtroom, and who should represent us. But what I want to know from you, do you think that the judge will finally give in to his request to have no ministers or certain ministers in the courtroom?
No, I think Judge Walmsley has been calling the balls and the strikes and being a fair and impartial juror. That's what he's supposed to do. Make sure that there's a level playing field for both sides. And he's been doing that from the beginning. He's not perfect, but as I've said before, he definitely can come to the cookout because he understands the assignment. He knows it's a high profile case. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of tension, obviously, in the community. And he's making sure that there's a level playing field for both sides and all three co-defendants. It's always a little janky when you have more than one defendant because you got three different teams in there and there's multiple motions and multiple things happening at the same time. And he's kept the ball moving toward in the case this entire time and kept it pretty level. So he's invited to the cookout and he's doing what he needs to do.
Sue Ann, welcome back to the Black Report. Always a pleasure to have your insight. So today we're talking about Kyle Rittenhouse's murder trial as well as justice for Ahmaud Arbery. The jury in both only have one minority juror in the box. How impactful do you think that's going to be on the outcome of both cases?
Yeah, I think diversity in the jury panel is always important. You know, jury selection, many trial attorneys, including myself, believe that jury selection is the most important part of your case. In Kyle Rittenhouse case, the Judge Schroeder would not be invited to the cookout by me. He actually rushed the entire jury selection and got the jury selection complete in one single day, in probably the highest profile case in the history of the county. And I would say Wisconsin for sure. Did the jury selection in one day. And if you guys remember, this is the same jury that had the stealth juror that made the inappropriate joke about Jacob Blake and then tried to justify it by saying, well, this isn't the Jacob Blake case. This is a separate issue. So when you rush jury selection, you risk that there could be self-jurors that have implicit bias about the facts of the case and not ever have vetted the jurors properly. So that's really my concern with respect to the jurors in Kyle Rittenhouse's case.
Suann, once again, I got to say it too. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. We love having you on Fox News Black Report. Let's talk about both cases because they really do not want to address race. Do you think both of these cases are rooted in racism, and should it be brought up more often throughout the trial?
I think the facts really do speak for themselves. But I think that the good part in in Kyle Rittenhouse case with the way that Judge Schroeder is behaving and how he's making so obvious that he's against the state by yelling at the state. He's arguing with the state attorney. He is yelling at him. He's denying many motions. He's making rulings that is making it seem like he's more on the defense side. There's even pictures showing him actually standing next to or sitting down next to Kyle Rittenhouse at different points. So I think it shows, what happens when you have a jurist that has a bias towards one particular side. So I'm glad that we're getting the opportunity to learn that part of the jury system and the judicial system.
Everybody from LeBron James to me has kind of made fun of Kyle Rittenhouse for crying on the stand. Do you think that testifying helped Rittenhouse or hurt him?
This is my thing with the white tears, okay? Where no one cared about the tears of the exonerated five, no one cared about the tears of Trayvon Martin's mother. So why am I today or any day caring about Kyle Rittenhouse's tears when he actually killed two people and injured someone else, left his home state and went to another state with a gun that he illegally possessed? I mean, sure, he's crying because he's caught. He's in a trial. It's a very stressful situation, but it doesn't make me feel bad for him, and it shouldn't make anyone feel bad for him. I think the idea of him crying on the stand is obviously to invoke sympathy from the jurors, and hopefully, they can look at the facts of the case and see through that.
So, Suann, I want to stick to this trial right here. And Judge Schroeder, he has displayed some very questionable activities, from his ringtone to him getting into it with the prosecutor. And it made me think about his judgment over the course of his career and how many people of color could have been impacted by his behavior during this trial. Do you think that the Department of Justice should maybe have an investigation and review his cases and his history of cases and how he's ruling and how many people he has locked up and the sentencings behind it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's multiple studies about how implicit bias affects judges in their sentencing, in their rulings. And so I don't think it's a far reach to say, ooh, maybe we need to look and see, what this judge has been doing now that it's been brought to the forefront. Unfortunately, the way that Judge Schroeder is behaving is not the exception. And that's why it's so important to vote in local elections, because a lot of the judiciary are elected positions. And so we don't pay attention to those posts and those elections. We don't have a say in who our judges are.
So we can't just talk about one judge here. We also want to know your thoughts on Judge Walmsley.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it again. Judge Walmsley can pull up to the cookout. I mean, he's doing what needs to be done. He is calling the balls and strikes. He's not perfect. He's not doing everything for the defense or everything for the state, but he's being very transparent and extremely fair. And I think the issue at this point is that Goff just is like a dog with a bone at this point with his motions about the gallery. And he even said it today. He said, I'm not as smooth as these other attorneys with actual legal motions and actual statutes. I just get up here and I say, kind of just what I think. And I don't want to make speaking objections in front of the jury. I mean, I think that pretty much sums it up. He knows that he is not as well versed maybe as the other attorneys in the courtroom, and is just hanging on to that as something he can just repeat over and over. So he looks like he is fighting for his client. But actually, I think he's doing that to the detriment of his client and his case.
So we have these two cases going on right now. It's kind of like white supremacy on trial in America. You've got the killers of Ahmaud Arbery, and you have the Kyle Rittenhouse case. And actually the Charlottesville rioters are also on trial. But much has been made of the difference between the way the media is covering the Rittenhouse case and the way they are covering the McMichaels case and the Bryant case. Do you think that impacts the overall outcome? And do you see a difference? Do you see racism in the way that these trials are being reported on?
I think that Kyle Rittenhouse has been propped up by, certain groups as, the poster child for gun ownership and white vigilantism to a certain extent. And I think obviously in the Ahmaud Arbery trial, the entire case is basically about them considering themselves to be some sort of, to be white vigilantes, to be out there fighting crime, with no actual authorization. And I think the fact that the media, for a long time reported the case as the Ahmaud Arbery trial until we had to be like, no, it's the Bryant and the McMichaels trial is important. And it's important for us to keep that narrative going, that these are the men that are on trial for killing Ahmaud Arbery. He is not actually on trial. I think that's going to come with more time and more education just for the media, because we're all used to kind of like splashy headlines. And a lot of times with legal issues, you have to get into the details. But I think these cases kind of highlight that. And I'm hoping in the future that, the media continues to get it right, because it definitely has an impact on, the court of public opinion, certainly.
So, Sue Ann, you've been in the courtroom, you've been in the trenches of trials, so to speak, a lot. I talk to my family, I talk to my friends. Based on what you've seen, I feel like the Rittenhouse, I'm not sure how that's going to turn out, honestly. But when I see the Ahmaud Arbery situation going on there with the man that kills him, I feel comfortable about it. Like, I feel honest. That's my opinion. Like, the outcome's going to be what we want and what it should be. You're seeing both sides. Do they both look even to you, or does one favor more than the other when it comes to coming out the way it should?
I can say this. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball to say, who's going to be found guilty. Right. I can tell you that the state in the Bryant McMichaels trial is doing an amazing job. They get an A+ from me for sure. They are, not backing down. The cross-examination, they did an excellent job. I think in Kyle Rittenhouse case, the prosecution's case was literally gutted. They took away the gun charge. He couldn't discuss with Kyle, who got on the stand, his motivation for participating in that kind of counter protest, which kind of gutted him from being able to argue motive. So there were a lot of things based on the court's rulings that affected what the state was able to present to the jury in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. So I think right now, the jury's been out a lot longer than I thought they would, which is a good sign. So we'll see how it goes.
So, Sue Ann, we have about 30 seconds left, but you brought up something that I think is very important. You brought up that judges are elected, which means that people have the opportunity to put the right people in these seats if we pay more attention. You always talk about jury duty, so I'm going to give you 20 seconds to make your appeal to our soulmates about the importance of civic participation in jury duty.
Yeah, jury duty is one of our most important duties we have to each other. You can be fair. Your life experience and your experience with police officers, even if negative, doesn't eliminate you from participating in a jury. So show up and show out, really, for each other.
And vote for these judges, too. Sue Ann, thank you so much. We look forward to having you back next week as we continue to follow the trials.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sue Ann. Great interview, team. That was so insightful. So now let's check in with Terrence Lee from Fox Chicago with an organization that is preparing our youth to thrive. This is Voices of Change.
Time to list all the reasons why it is important to empower our children. But we do want to highlight an organization preparing the next generation to thrive. Adem Aluka is the founder of Youth for a Better Future. He's joining me now to talk about a big event they have coming up this weekend and how you can get involved. Good to see you again, my man.
Good to see you, Terrence. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. We had you on back in February. So remind us what Youth for a Better Future is all about.
Yeah, well, we're excited. We celebrate 11 years of youth empowerment through
Wow.
interest-driven learning that's been producing extremely positive outcome. We've helped keep our youth safe throughout the pandemic and ongoing. And we know that Chicago and its existing safety issues with young people is relevant. Um, I know the news reported that more kids, unfortunately, were shot in Chicago than have died from COVID-19.
Hmm.
But we're focusing on the positive, on the bright side. We're looking to heighten our impact and expand our programming across the city. So because of that, we're having an amazing event, end of year event. It's a fashion show with some of our main supporters, the Jesse White Tumblers, Muggsy Jeans, Lululemon, and some of our youth's design. And we're trying to continue on the positivity, the empowerment across the city.
That is awesome. Are some of the kids walking in the show too?
Definitely. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, I have to ask, because you are a working model yourself, are you giving the kids some pointers about how to work the runway?
Oh, how to work the runway and also how to create their own clothing. So whoever shows up will get a chance to see it. So go on Eventbrite, search for Fashion for a Cause, and tickets start at $35. And also follow us on Instagram at Youth for a Better Future or donate. We appreciate your support.
Absolutely. And the kids designed one heck of a sweatshirt that I wear very often. Tell us about that equality, greater than division sweatshirt that's still available. And then also talk to us about where we can get tickets.
Yeah, so tickets are available on Eventbrite. Search for The Future Is Now, Fashion for a Cause. And some of the designs are also available on our website. If you come to the show, you'll get your hands on some of the newest design of our kids in the program. It's all about equalizing the playing field and the learning field for our young people, and most importantly, keeping them safe, as we know that's an important thing.
Absolutely. I got to say congratulations on 11 years. It's good seeing you again, my friend. I'm sure we'll talk again. And if you need a backup model, just holler at me. You know I'm on Instagram.
Always.
Look me up, my man.
You're welcome.
You have a good
Always.
rest of your week, and I hope that fashion show goes well. Keep us updated.